This is a segment, and Waz, I'm just going to throw straight to you after we watch this because you'll have a lot of, say, both like black comeuppance and agita while you watch this because it's a group of white people that includes a young sort of quasi-hipster who went from Bernie to Trump. It even gives me agita because it's like, really, dude?
I mean,
seriously? That's embarrassing. But they are talking with, is this on the list? Nicole Wallace. Yeah, I don't think. Oh, they're talking with Nicole Wallace on MSNBC about voting for, this guy initially supported Bernie. His name is Brendan Dufresne. It starts in a group of Trump voters who had never voted before but voted for Trump. And Dufresne talks about going from Sanders to Trump. And now he doesn't feel so good about the whole experience. Let's take a look.
We've come back to Bay County, Michigan, which went red for the first time since Ronald Reagan.
None of you had ever voted for a Republican.
Correct. I used to not vote. Never.
It's where I first met Brad, along with his neighbor, Jason.
I'm all about it, shaking it up.
A one-time Bernie supporter who at 29 years old cast his first ever presidential vote for Donald Trump.
He has answers. We don't always like him. Sometimes he offends the crap out of people, but he has an answer. It's not how this works.
But in less than 2 months, Jason's enthusiasm has turned to anger.
I feel like I was bamboozled. I really do. Jeez, he fooled me, and I kind of feel dumb. I feel mad, and I kind of feel dumb, honestly.
The time has come.
How did the president lose the support of a guy who cheered for him during his first speech to Congress?
It almost sounded progressive-ish. I mean, he was really open, willing to work with both sides of the fence. 4 days after that, maybe, more Russia stuff started piling up. He talks about being wiretapped. He's on Twitter saying this about this person.
But Jason says this was the deal breaker: the attack on Syria, tough talk on North Korea, and the massive bomb dropped on ISIS in Afghanistan.
I don't want to see the news special of another local Saginaw teenager brought home in a casket with a flag over it. I don't want to see that. I think he's just going to put more people at danger now. We're going to invade another country. There's no way around it. The way he's acting right now, it's going to happen. There's going to be boots on the ground, and that's what he said wasn't going to happen. It's one of the reasons I voted for him.
Okay, Waz, I actually do have a serious point about this, and I'm sure you do too. But first, you want to lay into this kid. So please, Waz, take the floor. White people and...
Listen.
Listen.
He used the term bamboozled.
That was pretty funny.
Which, of course, makes you think of Malcolm X, of all people.
Right.
And he's talking about black people in this country being hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray.
He's the white Malcolm X
Right,
of Trump voters.
right.
Like, we've been bamboozled, led astray. They don't want you to know the truth.
But what struck me immediately, and this is something that we've talked about, I don't know if we talked about it on air, but a lot of people think that Trump has more in common with Bernie or even a Barack Obama as a quote unquote outsider than he would with, say, a George Bush or Mitt Romney. Like, he's not a stereotypical politician. I think people, and for better or worse, and this is always the case, people vote for people. And not necessarily policies. Like this idea that you could be a pro-Bernie person and say, well, Trump's the next best thing. Like,
even the policy stuff, if you wanted to listen to that and you don't pay attention, if you pay attention about as much as this guy did, you would hear Trump be flanking Hillary to the left on trade, and you would buy that because you might pay attention like once every 2 weeks.
Or even when he would his rhetoric on healthcare, we're going to bring down your premium.
No one's going to be dying on the streets.
His critique of Obamacare was definitely, to the extent it was anything, it was from the left.
Yeah.
But my thing is, though, like, we can make fun of this guy and it's fine.
Well, he's an idiot.
He's stupid earrings, whatever.
You're an idiot guy.
In the like platonic sense of what that word means, though, right? Idiot was originally meant people that weren't really paying attention. Like, we can just use it as a moral judgment, but it's actually descriptive.
Yeah, I'm not interested in like I'll make fun of him, but whatever. But I think the most important lesson here, though, is that look, most people that voted for Trump are Republicans. Okay. Like, there's nothing exceptional about figuring out why they voted for him. They voted for actually a very mainstream Republican candidate, a rich business guy who said a bunch of platitudes about running government like a business, and then has proceeded to govern on behalf of a handful of shareholders and then exploit racism and misogyny to shore up his base. He does it more aggressively. He does it without subtext, but that's modern republicanism. Now, the handful of people, we've made this point a million times. I'm not justifying their vote. I'm not, at the very least, yes, you have to be an idiot in the sense that Matt is saying, or you at the very least, if you know more, you have to at the very least be comfortable with the degree of racism to vote for Trump. So I'm not excusing it. But to me, it's like that couple of percentage points that you could shave off of his vote, either get to vote for a Democrat like this guy would, or, stay home, which is also works.
The way bigger problem.
Way bigger problem staying home, no doubt. But the message that works is a left message. That's why there's no contradiction in these arguments. Like,
Right.
The Hillary people want to, only talk about how disgusting it was and everything because at a certain point they want an excuse from their own endless fuck-ups. And then there's like a people on my side that are more like in the Bernie bro territory or whatever, who they want to talk about the secret, misunderstood socialist aspirations of the average Trump voter. Well, that's nonsense, okay? Yeah. The reality is that most people voted for Trump are Republican-based voters, and they responded to some economic nationalism and a good chunk of racism, Islamophobia, and misogyny. There was a handful of people that stayed home because they weren't engaged on real issues, including many Hispanic and African-American voters, and those were the Bernie issues. And there are some people like this guy who clearly could be picked off from Trump with a credible messenger of a progressive message. So both sides are right. Both sides are wrong, and the only answer is a Bernie policy agenda.
Sure.
I don't get the fucking argument.
That seems,
I don't get the argument.
That seems obvious to me.
It is obvious, and people keep wanting to not go with the obvious.
Like the idea that you wouldn't be running on, we want to lower your premiums. We want to have more people covered for less.
And we're not feeling stupid wars. I mean, that is unprecedented to me since Vietnam. Right. I mean, the default of Americans being pretty much down for like, oh, all right, well, you got a bomb. I think you got to do something with it. That is really, it happened with Iraq.
Yeah, but you saw with Libya where it completely changed.
Yeah, talk about that.
Where Barry basically, President Obama was basically...
wait a second.
He was like...
You call him Barry too?
Yes, exactly. He was like, look, man, I'm going to put this to the Congress. Because it's obvious. Our polling, all of our data is telling us the people don't want this shit.
You mean with Syria? Because they skipped Congress with Libya.
Well, in Libya, they were like, okay, we're going to empower the rebels.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? But it's all the same, though. Syria, Libya, even the secret, not secret, but not the super public war in Yemen where they just straight up just didn't talk about it.
Just like, we're just
because they know they don't have the support.
We're just going to wipe out some villages.
Exactly. Americans don't have the stomach for this stuff anymore.
Right.
And running on that message... is a winning formula, but Hillary Clinton she just couldn't run on that message.
Well, she's also genuinely, she is a hawk.
Straight up.
Hillary Clinton is someone who had the most, there is no part of elite consensus conventional wisdom that Hillary Clinton is ever not going to be in the center of. The point, though, was that for people who were objecting to her, and I object to her too, but it was an obvious choice of why you needed to vote for her. But the other thing that was interesting was that if you started, if you were reading like the editorial pages of the Financial Times, and I know I'm totally being that guy right now saying that, but you would notice that among those elites, of which Hillary never deviates from and is completely wedded to, there was the recognition that, okay, inequality is starting to be a little bit of a problem. Maybe we need to have some higher wages. Maybe we need to have some protection. So you did have an opportunity with her where she would have been definitely more progressive than her earlier incarnations. And it still would have been terrible, but obviously not the complete debacle we're in. But it's like if everybody insists on relitigating everything, it's like the Bernie or bust thing was incredibly stupid and has been, and even if people get activated and engaged, it's detrimental to the health of the country and the health of the world. And we still might not get out of this. And then from a Democratic primary perspective, like Bernie is not perfect, and Bernie needed to speak and have a more integrated message. And there's no future Democratic Party that isn't deeply multiracial, multisexual, and the social and economic emancipation come together. But if you ain't coming out with Medicare for all and you got to hide Goldman speeches, and on top of that, you're not a good communicator, like, what? And it's not everybody, and it's not everybody else's fault. Like,
And
part of it is
no,
that
it's
you
not.
sucked. You had Robbie
But
Mook.
part of it too, I think Trump.
I'm reading Shattered, so I'm all lit.
Right. I think Trump had a special appeal, though.
No, Trump was
for base Republican voters.
But and also for shaving off those couple of percentage points,
Right.
which when you're talking about an election that came down to 50,000 votes in Pennsylvania and 50,000 votes, 100,000 votes in Michigan, that's where that guy matters.
Yeah, 100%.
And if Bernie was a dude, he would have won that guy's vote.
Hey, folks. The Majority Report YouTube page is in a bit of a crisis right now because of changes in their algorithms. Our YouTube revenue has been clobbered. We need your help. Just a couple of bucks a month would really help us out and keep this channel going. Head over to our Patreon page to find out more information. It's the URL is right here.